Hi guys, welcome to our histology lecture. This is going to be a continuation of what we did on Monday and then a couple weeks ago. So we're still in histology. We already did osseous, but I just thought I'd put it here so you can get it, so you can see it again. So for osseous makes up the bones of the skeleton, right? So this is going to be your bone tissue. It makes up all the bones of your skeleton. It has osteocytes in a lacuna. Remember when we say that? Our osteocytes in a lacuna are going to be these guys, right? There is a Haversian canal. So the Haversian canal is going to be the center canals right there. And the function of osseous is going to be movement, protection, and support. So movement and acts like levers for the muscles to pull on. And protection, it's going to protect, like the skull protects your brain, the ribs protect your lungs and your heart, your hips protect your reproductive organs. Okay. So now we're at to the cartilages. And cartilage is going to be the next one down for the density of the matrix when we talk about connective tissues. Cartilage is very similar to bone, except it's a little more flexible. So it has a little more bend or a little more pliability to it. You can take it and move it a little more. It has some elasticity depending on the types you're talking about. It's not as rigid as bone, but it also doesn't protect as well as bone. So this one is hyaline cartilage. And like bone, where there was a osteocyte in a lacuna, this also has a lacuna because the matrix of it is too solid not to have one. So we still need that like a little house where the cell can live so that it can still get its nutrients and grow. All right. So here we have chondrocytes. So chondro means cartilage, and again, cyte means cell. So these are chondrocytes in a lacuna are these guys. Okay, these are our chondrocytes in a lacuna. So let's see if I could find one where you can see the chondrocyte, like this one up here. Do you see the chondrocyte there? And then the lacuna is right there. Do you see that up at the top of the screen where I just drew? Like you can see kind of the space. This one right here is our actual real good one. I don't know why. This guy right here in the middle. You can see the nucleus, which is this. The chondrocyte goes this way, like this. And then the lacuna, if you look very closely right there, you can see the outline of where the lacuna is. All right, so those are chondrocytes in the lacuna. And the chondrocytes are going to lay down a matrix here that is very smooth. Okay, so your hyaline cartilage matrix is going to be smooth and uniform, kind of glass-like, I think is how your book describes it. So when you look at it, it's very, very kind of shiny and smooth and very distinguishable from the other types of matrices. And then this type of tissue, this hyaline cartilage, is going to be found in the larynx. So your voice box right here, that's going to be hyaline cartilage. You can find it in, it's on your breastbone. So it's going to connect your ribs to your breastbone. So the ribs are connected to the breastbone, some of them by cartilage, okay? So that cartilage is going to be hyaline cartilage that connects your ribs to your breastbone. And then it also is going to cover the ends of bone. So that cartilage on the end of bone, like when people get arthritis and they wear away that like edge of the bone, that edge is cartilage, that's hyaline cartilage, all right? So it's going to cover all of those things. The last thing hyaline cartilage does is sometimes, oh, not sometimes, always, it's going to make up the fetal skeleton prior to ossification. So before a baby's skeleton is formed in bone, it's going to get formed actually in hyaline cartilage. And then the hyaline cartilage slowly ossifies and turns into bone. All right, so in this we have no fibers, we have chondrocytes in a lacuna, and we have the nucleus is the dark purple parts. Okay. Next, we have elastic cartilage. So again, this is a cartilage, so we still know we're going to look for a lacuna. All right. In this cartilage, it looks just like hyaline, except that it has these fibers. So if we look, these fibers, if you look closely right around there, okay, if you look closely right around there, you can see purple lines that kind of crisscross like this. Those are going to be elastic fibers is what those actually are. And here you can see the chondrocytes in the lacuna even better because this is my lacuna, this whole space. And then this Right there is my chondrocyte. It's hard to write sideways, sorry. It's hard for me to write in the air. So that's my chondrocyte, and then this space here is my lacuna. See it? Okay, so this one you can really see that it's like a cell within a little like house. All right, so we still have chondrocytes and lacuna. This is found in structures that are going to require some like flexibility or some elasticity. So it's like your ears, all right, this part of your ears right here, this outside part, can you see mine? That outside part of your ear is all elastic cartilage. Think of other animals who like move their ears, not really us, but like my dog and cat. Can you see them? That's my dog, right? He moves his ears. My cat over here, can you see her? She moves her ears, right? So their ears need to be able to bend and come back, right? Elastic cartilage. Our epiglottis, which is like the flap that covers our wind tube and our esophagus, it flaps like this all the time. That needs to be able to move a lot. That's going to be elastic cartilage. So any place where we need a lot of movement, we have elastic cartilage. Next. All right, so next we have fibrocartilage. This is still a cartilage, so we're still going to have chondrocytes, which you can see down here in a lacuna. All right, the lacuna is the white around that purple cell. Okay, the cell is a chondrocyte because it's a cartilage cell. For fibrocartilage, you need to be able to find that cell in the lacuna. That's one of your key like recognition points to know it's fibrocartilage. If you look at this slide here, all of this that I'm kind of outlining, this light pink area, is our fibrocartilage. And you can see some motion in the matrix of the tissue, like right there, there's like a little bit of like a swirly kind of, and right there, that's because fibrocartilage, the matrix has a lot of collagen fibers, and the collagen fibers give it strength, which is one of the key parts of fibrocartilage. Fibrocartilage is used in areas that need to withstand a lot of pressure because it's highly compressible, meaning you can squish it, but it takes a lot to squish it too much. So it's still gonna like hold things up. So it's gonna be in areas that you have a lot of pressure and a lot of weight. So we find this in the cushion of our vertebrae. So it cushions the disc between our vertebrae. So you know how someone gets like bulging discs sometimes and they show like the vertebrae. So we have vertebrae like this in your back. Right here in the middle, you have fibrocartilage discs that kind of keep it from smushing each other. It's also found in your pubis symphysis, which is between your pubic bones, where a lot of your weight is carried, and in your knees, where you have a lot of weight and you have a lot of shock, right? So fibrocartilage is going to absorb a lot of shock and a lot of weight easily. So we're now into our loose connective tissue. So we went through osseous or bone, then to cartilage, and we had the 3 types of cartilage. Now we're into our loose connective tissue. We jumped over dense connective tissue. Dense connective tissue you can read in the book. It's our tendons and ligaments, all right? It's dense, there's not a lot of space in the matrix, whereas our loose connective tissue has more space in the matrix. That's the difference. If you have questions about dense, just ask in class. I'm sticking to the ones that we have on the practical. So this is adipose. This is a loose connective tissue. Adipose is fat. And if you look at these cells, they look fat. They're like big and round. Right here, this is one cell. This is the next cell. This is the next cell. Okay. Here is a nuclei. So an adipose cell is a cell. I'm looking for more nuclei. Here is a nuclei. An adipose cell is a cell that has a very large central vacuole, and the large central vacuole can hold or store oil droplets. So when we say, you know how if we eat too much, we gain weight, we put on fat, what we actually do is make these fat cells, and what happens is the excess calories that we have get stored as oil, okay? And the oil fills these fat cells, and these little cells just get bigger and bigger. All right, does that make sense? So as these cells get bigger, the vacuole in the center gets bigger and it pushes all the cell contents to the side of the cell. So that's why these nuclei, there's one here, there's one here, is pushed all the way to the side of the cell because the rest of the cell is filled with oil. All right, and that's why when we talk about lipids, we say one of the main functions of lipids is long-term storage of energy. So the fat droplets, the oil droplets that are stored in these fat cells, the oil can then be pulled back out by our body and broken down for calories when we need more energy, right? We break down the oil droplets and then we go through, cellular respiration and make ATP when we need them. All right. So our structure is a large cell with the contents pushed to the side because it has a large vacuole filled with oil. And these cells are one and then the next and then the next. They're very closely packed, but it's still not a super sturdy structure to the tissue in general. The functions of adipose is it's going to store energy reserves, the oil that we talked about. It's going to absorb shock. So adipose, your fat storage areas are found in areas. Oh, hi, Hunty. See my doggy? Hi, Hunty. So your fat is found in areas that is like well placed, areas that absorb shock. We have it on the palm of our hands, right? Think of babies when they're learning to walk and they're really chubby and they got it on their bums so that when they fall, it's not like bone digging in, right? We also have it to insulate. So it's also underneath all of our skin because it maintains a boundary between the outside. So it's going to keep heat in, all right? So it's going to help maintain our temperature. All right, next one. All right, next we have areola, which is our last loose connective tissue. The cells of areola are called fibroblasts. Okay, they're called fibroblasts because they're going to make, so blasts are cells that make things, and they're going to make fibers, fibroblasts. And the fibroblasts are these cells right here. Those are fibroblasts, okay? Notice that they are not in a lacuna, so it's not a cartilage and it's not a bone, right? It doesn't need that house anymore because the matrix is very loose, okay? The fibroblasts are going to produce fibers. There's two types of fibers in this tissue. We have collagen fibers, which are, let me show you here to here, this thick pink band. There's another one here. They're in the background. Those thick pink bands are collagen fibers. These tiny purple bands are elastic fibers, okay? So we have collagen and elastin. The elastic fibers are made of elastin. They're purple. They give stretch, whereas the collagen fibers, which are pink, are going to give strength, okay? The white space, kind of like right there, that's going to be the matrix. All right, that's the matrix of the tissue. That's like the background of the tissue. All right. Now, areola is considered our universal packing tissue. You know how we said one of the functions of connective tissue was packing, and packaging the organs? Areola is what does it. Okay. So areola is found in a couple key points. First, it's found underneath all of your organs, or around all of our organs, and it holds our organs into place. Second, it's found directly under your skin, and when it's found below your skin, it's called your fascia. All right. When we dissect our pigs, it's one of the key things that we separate. We break the fascia when we peel back the skin, right? And that causes the skin to stay attached to the underlying muscles, so that when you pull on your skin, you can't pull the whole layer up like you could. I could take my shirt. Let me balance my computer. I can take my shirt on my arm right here, right? And I can pull my shirt away from my arm. Let me get in front of my mirror, right? I can't even see it, right? Do you see that? Yeah, I can pull my shirt away from my arm, right? But if I'm looking at my skin, if I go to pull my skin, I can't pull my skin away from my arm. It doesn't go anywhere, right? I can't get it like I can my shirt, right? That's because I have that areola underneath that's going to hold my skin to the underlying muscle or tissue underneath. Does that make sense?